You cannot contract a disability by touching a person with disability. Yes.
So you agree?
I agree.
I said most persons with disability cannot have sexual relationships. I don't think so.
Disability and other conditions, such as epilepsy, are caused by a disability.
Disagree. Okay.
Persons with disability want to associate with each other. Disagree.
Okay.
Please give persons with disabilities money. Disagree.
Not advisable to marry a person with a disability. I know
Person's disability defines who they are as an individual. I disagree.
It's not okay for persons without to use
without disability
without disability to use an accessible parking space or bathroom if unoccupied. Do you understand it? Yes. There are parking spaces that are reserved for disabilities. There are bathrooms or toilets reserved for. So it's saying it is not okay for persons without disability to use those.
Because if it's unoccupied.
If it is unoccupied.
You shouldn't.
I agree.
This is against all odds.
Currently, there are no appropriate figure of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. In both developed and developing states in Nigeria, evidence suggests that persons with disabilities are disproportionately represented among the world's poor and tend to be poorer than their counterparts without disabilities due to lack of adequate data and assistive technology. Economic and social exclusion is a part of the daily lives of persons with disabilities, and it's a breach of human rights and a major development challenge. Due to this, a 3-day annual media retreat was organized by a non-governmental organization, Disability Right Advocacy Center, DRAC, with the support from Ford Foundation in Abuja.
We talk about you and persons with disability passing by and people start saying, hey, yeah. You know, let me tell you the funny experience of persons with disability. A blind will be walking, it's just going on his own, and you see people stopping money in his hand, and someone is just going maybe to his place of work, and they will say, hey, yeah, and they start giving him money. That's charity model, because they feel persons with disability should be pitied. They feel persons with disability that are object of pity. They're like, you see them, you start saying, oh, such a beautiful lady. Then you see them, then another instance, someone on wheelchair, sometimes even motorized wheelchair, going, and you start going to help him or her to push. Did he send you? No. But because you feel they are not capable of anything, they should just be pitied and they should just be helped. They are recipients of welfare. They should be charity case. That in fact, some of us will even say every Sunday, offering should be, should be contributed for persons with disabilities, so they should get. And then we have persons with disability that are doing fine, even finer than persons without disability. But because of this model, because some of us are still stuck with this model, we see them as charity case. We see them as victim of circumstance that deserve pity. That's the only definition, the only thing we think about when we talk about persons with disability.
Images and stories in the media can deeply influence public opinion and establish societal norms. Also, persons with disabilities are seldom covered in the media, and when they are featured, they are often negatively stereotyped and not appropriately represented. The Executive Director, Disability Rights Advocacy Center DRAC, Dr. Irene Patrick Ojuofor, while commending the media for its efforts in reporting the issues affecting persons with disabilities, also emphasized on the importance of portraying disability issues positively. DRAC cites media as a key factor for access to information and communication on an equal level and social inclusion.
First and foremost, my name is Irene. So I would expect that when you want to talk about me, you say, oh, I met Irene. She's this, she's that, she's this, she's that. Not I met one woman in a wheelchair or I met one PWD. We are not acronyms. In fact, all this debate about PLWD, PWD is even redundant because in the first place, we are humans, we are not acronyms. The PWD, PLWD came up as a way of shortening your writing. So it's only acceptable to use PWD, P whatever, when you are writing. But you don't say, I'm at a PWD meeting. Nobody is an acronym. So we should be using those acronyms for only when we are writing. But the standard term is persons with disabilities. This living came about when people that have been working on HIV issues began to come into the disability space. And so because everybody is used to say persons living with HIV, they began to apply it to persons living with disabilities. The truth is that it is about barriers interacting with your impairments, and it now results in disability. So it is not about living with anything. Living with HIV is a totally different thing when you think about the fact that if there were no barriers, you wouldn't even be living with anything. So let's even forget all the semantics and just know that there are appropriate ways to refer to people. It doesn't make any sense to look at someone like me and you want to describe me, you call cripple, you say invalid, bedridden, wheelchair bound. I'm not okay. Am I sitting in my wheelchair now? For those of you that can see me, when I had to come to the front there, I sat in my wheelchair and I came over there and I spoke. Right now I'm sitting in another thing. So how am I wheelchair bound? So it's about labeling. We must really learn to stop labeling. Some people will see me and they think they want to use something different and they say, oh, you're special. Stop calling yourself person with disability. You have called yourself special. And so what is so special about me? So euphemisms, labels, we must avoid them. They don't do anybody any good. The moment you begin to see a person with a disability just like yourself, it will help you to get rid of some of these prejudices that we have. And obviously, like Moji said, it starts with language. When language is inappropriate, it is disempowering. And why we're saying all this is so that we use empowering language, so that people with disabilities will stop seeing themselves as objects of pity, people who are less than others, and people who don't deserve anything good in life.
The focus is to make sure that the media take appropriate measure to ensure that people with disabilities have access on equal basis with others to information and communication. The deaf face limitations of accessibility to media and communication because in Nigeria, 98% of television programs have no subtitles or use of sign language.
Advocacy in the churches and all that, but when we go to church, we discover that there are a lot of persons with disabilities who are not carried along, especially communication-wise, like the deaf. We don't find interpreters in churches. I'm a Catholic, and there's no Catholic church that has interpreters. We had a program recently at Pro Cathedral, and I discovered we have like 5 deaf people who are not carried along. They just go to church, they stand where they stand, they sit where they sit. And when they saw an interpreter, they were so excited. And one of them said, today, for like 8 years in Abuja is today he attended church. So I think we should also carry this advocacy to churches to let them know the importance of communication.
Yes, the awareness come to the journalists. Understand? The journalists should do that. Understand? Not only stay in city center in Abuja here do that. Go to the many community. Many communities see that the time that many people, if you have a child that's disabled, you see as it's unlocked. You see it. You will not be happy. That woman will not be happy that they have a child with disability. Understand? They forget that most of disability, so they will plan well, who sit down and organize themselves, who their parents, where they brought them up. Most of them today, I don't many of them that they are surviving the family. Without the family will not exist. Because it doesn't mean that you are disabled, physical challenge, you're mentally you are okay. Understand? You can do something different. Understand? Can move your life forward. Understand? Yes, awareness, journalists, and we human, you individual, I show that somebody with disability, understand? It's not a cause. Because many people say that it's a cause for change to born a child with disability. It's a nature. Understand? It's how God wants it.
Some of the participants and persons with disabilities stressed on the need for media and the public to give them the sense of belonging.
Applicants with any of the following physical challenge need not apply: impediment in speech, be it stammerer or dumb; knock knees, bent knees, bow legs, cave legs, limp legs, bent hands, deformed, fractured hands, defective eyesight, one-eyed, cross-eyed, total blindness, amputation of any part of physical body, hearing impaired, deaf, hunched back, and other physical deformity not mentioned.
Then let's look at this maybe paramilitary now. In every institution, in every organization, on every workplace, there are works that can be done, like administrative works and all the rest of them. A person with disability can do administrative work. Does it mean that he must go to the road to catch people or what they hear about? No. He can be in the office, he takes administration, or there are some maybe like phone calls, a lot of things that are being done in the offices that they can fit in. Yes, operating computers and all the rest of them. You just look at what she read out. Can we see what is wrong with even Kellen? What is wrong with Hunter? What is wrong with all these things that are being read out there?
In our policies, in our laws, in our operation standards, operational standards, and we feel it's okay. And the way someone was talking about the foundation, something is wrong. Yes, this is what is. A lot of things are wrong. You can imagine this warning. I mean, like in almost all the dailies, that same day.
The media are reminded that the words they use and the way they portray individuals with disabilities matter. They were advised to always inculcate the habit of portraying individuals with disabilities in a respectful and balanced way by using language that is accurate, neutral, and objective.
This comedy guy now, this albino guy that does comedy now, and then he portrays albinism as if in a very negative light. So what are we which message are we trying to pass out there to? So it's also very important that we in the community as well, we also need to help ourselves.
I think we need to take this conversation, which is exactly why the media is here. We need to keep hammering on this, harping on this, say it as it is. You don't go there and say to people, believe that everything is all right. Everything is not all right. Let's call it what it is, call a spade a spade. And I'm just hoping that we move that conversation beyond this place.
This is Against All Odds.
Assistive technology promotes greater independence by enabling people with disabilities to perform tasks they were formerly unable to accomplish or had great difficulty accomplishing. For example, wheelchairs provide independent mobility for those who cannot walk. Due to assistive technology, people with disability have an opportunity of a more positive and easygoing lifestyle, with an increase in social participation. security and control, and a greater chance to reduce institutional costs. All these were discussed and analyzed during the media retreat.
Physical barriers in accessible environments create disability by creating barriers to participation and inclusion. Physical barriers in the natural or built environment prevent access and affect opportunities for participation.
With disabilities have been treated, and are still being treated. I mean, some of them they've suffered some unpredictable. I mean, we don't even want to describe. How would you be saying you want to carry someone? Carry for what? When all you need is just to provide a ramp, and everybody can walk. Everybody can use the ramp. And not everybody can use the staircase. But we cannot use the ramp. Why not make a place accessible?
Because of one or two disabilities shouldn't stop one from doing things, because there are lots of machineries now that can aid that person in achieving his or her goals or working in a working environment. Like the movie I watched, the guy was crippled, but he was a good driver. He was driving and it was, I mean, it was like wow, because even the truck that he was driving was also aided with something. He had a special something like to push him down, and such things were so good. If our government can put them in efforts, I mean, all this military stuff and government jobs, and also help them with machines that would help them achieve that goal, it would be wonderful.
The Disability Rights Advocacy Center admonished the media practitioners to always raise this awareness and combat stereotypes related to persons with disabilities by encouraging all media houses to always portray persons with disabilities in a manner consistent with respect for human rights.
We are having this retreat so that we can appeal to the media to let them know that disability issues should be portrayed positively in an empowering way, so that persons with disabilities do not begin to see themselves as second-class citizens, and even the members of the public do not continue to see persons with disabilities as second-class citizens. And of course, language is very important. We want to give the media the right language, the right terminology to use. It doesn't behove well to hear media reports where they are referring to persons with disabilities as the handicap, cripple, and some other, derogatory and disempowering language that we tend to hear all the time. So that's what we're doing. We're also using the media to amplify the messages, because as an organization we cannot reach everybody, we cannot reach everywhere, but the media is everywhere. In any sphere of life you can think of, the media are able to shape people's opinions, share information about those things. So that's why we're also using the media to amplify what is already on ground, what is already in existence, to ensure that they begin to change the narrative, change those negative perceptions of persons with disabilities, and most importantly, to promote the issue of disability rights. Persons with disabilities have rights. Now, thanks to President Muhammadu Buhari, we have our Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act, and we want that document, that law, to be widely popularized, and that's part of the reasons why we are working with the media on this.
Participants, especially from the media, reassured their support and commitment for effective representation and also be a voice for the people with disabilities in their respective organizations.
Persons with disability now, they always find it difficult to find a life partner. And whenever they do, family oppose them. Whenever they do, because even the life partner is not looking at their physical disability now. He's looking at their person they are as a person. But the family are not seeing it that way. So the society needs to change that mindset. In that area, I will begin to share with people how they can even welcome person with physical disability into their family and add value to that family. That's one of the roles I'm going to be using my platform to play.
Terminology like deaf and dumb. I'm deaf, but I'm not dumb. The meaning of the word dumb is stupid. not stupid. We deaf people are not stupid. We are deaf, and that is all. Whether hard or fear or whatever, we are just deaf. The general standard, we are deaf with capital D. Then, parents that have children with disability, they should please accept them, not carrying them for prayer, needed healing, or hide them at home. Give them this sense of belonging. Allow them to go to school. Allow them to socialize and interact with other people. They are human too.
The idea is to look for better ways to write stories. And there's nothing you want to do without the media. They are the ones that put out the stories. So as media persons, it's important for us to understand that every day things change. And this idea of putting people in a box, with some kind of labels that tend to fuel the idea of stigmatization. Nothing truly wrong with, learning and relearning. Coming for a session like this, it's always important for you to unlearn the things that you think you know, so that you can take in new information. So it's been wonderful. It's been nice that I've been able to come to terms, see that there are newer things that we should know now as media persons. When we write our stories, when we're talking about these issues, whether on radio, whether on television, even when we're interviewing people, there are ways that we can get to relate with them, ways that we can get to talk with them, so that we're able to get the kind of information that we want.
I'm taking away quite a lot. I came here with some expectations to learn how to be more inclusive in my news reportage. As someone who goes on air, I need to find a balance to have everyone included in what I do. So, and those expectations have been met. I now know better how to be more inclusive in my programs, in my news reportage, and definitely when I go back, I'll try to bring my colleagues up to speed. So they too will learn from me now, and I hope they too will teach others, and that way knowledge is spread.
This is Against All Odds.
Audio Jungle.